Understanding this one thing about your golf clubs will make your golf easier. Let's do it.
And let's do it now.
One more. Even that was buried as well. Hi everyone, James Robinson here. Guys, first things first, I'd like to warmly welcome Chris back to the channel. Chris, how are you?
Very good, yourself?
Very good. Are you spacing those out nicely for us there?
Getting them fired up.
What a wonderfully rate bunker we've got today. So, guys, welcome down to another episode of Short Game Saturdays. You join us here at Waterfront Golf Club, and Chris, we have one simple tip that can really help people improve their game. It's just unbelievably simple. Unbelievably simple. So Chris, talk us through it. It's that simple, I probably can't.
So we're going to be talking about today a little bit of face plane tilt. So something that your club does, that if we start to change the angle of the shaft, so your lie angle, where the club face starts to go. Obviously what we see a lot of times is when people come into the bunkers, everybody wants to get the club face open. We start to see how that sometimes aims right, the ball starts right, and they don't start it on line.
And a lot of people generally want to go straight to the lob wedge, Chris, don't they? And we're not gonna.
Absolute plonkers. So what we're going to use today is we're going to be using an 8-iron out of the bunker and showing you what we need to do and what we need to change at setup to get that ball up and starting on line. It then relates back to when you're opening your club face with your 56, if you do use a lob wedge, your lob wedge, where you need to aim and what we need to do.
Right, so we're playing bunker shots, so lob wedge.
8-iron.
Sand wedge.
8-iron.
Pitching wedge.
Still 8-iron.
9-iron. We'll go 8-iron. If I can find it, 8-iron. Right, so guys, this is a really simple tip that a lot of really good bunker players do practice like this, don't they? They take out, I mean, was it Seve who used a 3-iron out of the bunker?
Yep, 3-iron out of the bunker.
Right, Chris, so you've lined some balls up here. I've got an 8-iron. Yep. Now, in my logic here, to have this club face pointing at the hole we're going to go to, I'd need loft. So I'm going to open the face, and then I guess I'd do the old school turn round and play?
No. So what we're going to do here is we're going to start to use James's stance. I want to keep it square. So a lot of people go open stance. We want to keep it square to the target or parallel. And then from here, James opens his club face. We now need to figure out how he can get that to point straight up into the air. So if James now moves back, gets his hands a little bit lower, so sits down a little bit more, we can see how we can get that loft now pointing up and towards his target. That with a forward ball position is going to allow him to release that club head, pass, and get that up and out. Perfect. Go straight at it. Little bit strong, good divot pattern, nice and square, started on line. So you can see there, as silly as it is, even though it's an 8-iron, we can figure that out. So square stance, a little bit further away still, can get lower, good.
And this is to accommodate obviously the shaft length as well, isn't it?
That's it, so the lower we get, the more that loft will point into the air.
What happened there?
So there, James fell back, a lot of weight on his right foot, also known as a Damien. So he's tried to help it up, and that's what you might see if you go into the bunker and try this. So James needs to keep his weight forwards, finish on his left hand side. There we go, got it up perfect, that'll have run out nice. And again we can see the divot pattern is very consistent, it's square to where we want it to be.
Straight at the flag, isn't it?
Straight at the flag, not cutting across. When we cut across with an open face, it's very hard to judge the start line, judge the spin, and really be consistent.
So Chris, for the guys at home here, what would you say the lowest club you should go to is? So we've gone 8-iron here, it's actually done 2 out of 3 ain't bad, they've done quite well. You like that one, don't you? Meatloaf, big fan of meatloaf. Could we go 6-iron, 5-iron?
Yep, if you've got a blade or if you've got a thinner cavity, you'll be able to hit those shots out of the bunker. If you've got something a little bit bigger like a game improvement iron, it is going to be very hard. You might have to tee the ball up slightly and just start to get that club lower. Again, the lower we can get the handle, the more that loft's pointing straight into the air and we can get that ball up and out. So it's something you can try, and then when you go back to your normal clubs you can realise that if you are opening that club, we might need to get that little bit lower, and you can really get down there and keep the loft on the face, and then from there play through and hold your finish. So
go on, have a go. You had everyone on the edge of the seat then. That was wide open, wasn't it? Look how low Chris's hands are here, by the way.
Wider stance, lower hands.
Oh, incredible. And this isn't something that we're teaching you to play.
No.
It's something to understand, isn't it? And something to work on.
That's it, so it's starting to understand what you can do with the club, how you control your loft, and what you might be doing wrong in the bunkers.
Right, Chris, so I've now got a 5-iron in my hands. I'm going to make sure I've got a half decent lie, because obviously I don't want to play like a plug lie with a 5-iron. Is it more of the same? So I want as much loft on the club as possible.
Yeah.
Further away for the shaft length. I want to get the hands down.
Lower, good.
Now that looks like it's not going to work, but
there we go.
that's incredible.
So up and out, using the loft, using your setup to your advantage and being able to play these different shots. It's going to help you all around just to understand the loft better, because what people don't understand is how to use the bounce, what loft they need to put on and how to hit that.
And one thing I was going to say there as well is that it massively helps you understand what the bounce does. So obviously when you're using a 5-iron like this, you don't have the bounce that you would have for a wedge.
No.
But by opening the face up, you actually activate the bounce a little bit more, so the club can glide through and you get a nice little shallow divot like that.
Yeah, exactly. If we went with a leading edge, we'd see a big divot, a big dig.
Oh, Damien.
It's probably not going to get out. Damien.
So Chris, we've gone through this in bunkers. Should we show people about in the rough now as well?
Yeah, let's get in the rough.
And it's quite juicy rough as well. So this is where this drill can again help us understand what we're doing with the loft.
Juicy.
Juicy.
Yeah, so same principle here, square stance. We're going to get a little bit further away, a little bit lower with the handle, which is going to get that loft pointing straight up. And what I get a lot of times when people come for lessons and I say, right, use your 52, but just open it up a little bit. Oh, I don't open my 52, it comes out too low. But that's because you haven't tried opening your 52. We'll see shortly, because James is going to use one of the wedges for this shot. And see
lob wedge?
Not lob wedge.
Oh.
And see what he can do with it. So he can see how he'll be able to open it up. He'll be able to get plenty of loft, even on something like a pitching wedge or a 52. So again here, 8-iron, nice and low.
Look how wide that stance is as well.
Sit down there, and if anything, I'm close to the target, which is going to help me be nice and shallow here. And then from here, I can get that popping up. Obviously, it's going to be very hard with an 8-iron to judge the distance. It's not a shot I play all the time, but you'll see how high that went.
And in honesty, this isn't actually a shot you're ever going to really play on the golf course, but like we said, we're going to now relate this back to a wedge and show how understanding this can make golf a lot easier.
Exactly, so if you come in here now with your...
It's down here, mate.
Fiddy.
Yeah. Right, so Chris, I'm going to come in here now, I'm going to give myself an average, well, quite a bad lie actually looking at that, and like you said, so I'm going to now open the face up on this 50 degree, but rather than standing open and trying to play a bit of a flop with that now, the face is open, I stand further away, little bit closed with the stance like you said, handle lower, and now from here I can pop that up and get, go on then. I would never play that shot, but actually that's come out like an absolute dream, hasn't it?
Yeah, so we can use the loft on there, we're using the bounce, it's coming up nice and high. So it's a club that you would never use round here, and it's one that I see people don't want to use. We can open the club up, start to understand the bounce, start to understand what the club is doing for us. I
can just feel that bounce just gliding underneath it there now.
Gliding through the juicy rough.
I'm like a machine with this now. One more. Even that was buried as well.
Oh,
guys, that has been
James Robinson Masterclass, and he has been James Robinson.
So guys, that has been another episode of Short Game Saturdays. Chris, thank you so much for your time.
No problem.
So a lot of people will have been watching that video thinking, well, how is this going to help? How is this going to be relatable back to the golf course? If you watch right through to the end, you will have seen that's amazed me. I would never play that shot. No. I'd always go more loft and try and get it up. Then generally I would leave it short, and if you've been watching the course logs a lot, you will know that. So I'm definitely taking that into my game. Practice with a club that makes it more difficult, then you're going to find it a lot easier with the wedges.
Exactly, that's making your practice as hard as possible, that when you go into the golf course everything should seem a lot easier. Playing out of tough lies, playing with clubs you wouldn't normally do, starting to understand what they can do, and then when you get out there it should be a lot easier. Guys, I've been James Robinson. And I've been Chris Dennis. I'll see you next week. No, I'll see you tomorrow, you'll see him next week. I'll see you next week.